Donald Trump is losing it as he has returned to Washington, D.C., and a general strike has been initiated in the great state of Minnesota, and a general strike is spreading across the United States. We haven't seen a general strike of this scale for about 70 years or so, and the hope is that this becomes the biggest general strike in the history of the United States, in solidarity with the pro-democracy forces who want to stop this fascism, these ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo invasion, these Trump attacks on the workers. And so whether you're looking right now in Minneapolis and St. Paul, by the way, where it's like negative 16 degrees Fahrenheit, and the people are out there protesting the ICE regime, calling in sick, engaging in this general strike, or we should turn our attention to what's taking place in New York City. Solidarity with the nurses there, 15,000 nurses out there every day. They've been there 9+ days already. We've seen the New York City Mayor, Zoran Mamdani. We've seen Senator Bernie Sanders show solidarity with those striking nurses. And all they're saying is, we want a fair wage for the job that we're doing. You have these hospital executives and CEOs making $20, $30 million a year, and they can't even provide the most basics for nurses who are on the front lines. And then you've got the workers in Minnesota saying there's lots of Fortune 500 companies in this state, and you want to treat us like this, Trump regime? You just think we're cogs in your wheel, where you're going to take our money, put it in Qatari bank accounts to build yourself golden arches and golden ballrooms? I mean, look what Donald Trump was posting this morning. More photos of golden arches that he wants to build in Washington, D.C., while he rips away the health care of tens of millions of Americans, not extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies, continuing to cover up a child sex trafficking ring, as he continues to make it more difficult for people to afford their rent or purchase a home. This is what he's posting: renderings of golden arches with AI slop. We don't want golden arches, Donald. The American people just want to be able to live a life with dignity, to support our families, and not be invaded by ICE and Border Patrol Gestapo. It's pretty damn freaking simple, Donald. Our friends over at Migrant Insider are covering the general strike right now. Take a look at this map right here. You see other locations where this general strike is taking place. And, we've seen those massive No Kings protests, of course. I think those No Kings protests get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I think it's time that we start, I think it was well past time that we start talking about a general strike, and we start talking about what else can we, the people, do in order to stand up to this regime and make sure they feel our power as they try to hoist authoritarianism across this nation in the demented image of the dictator with no clothes, Donald Trump. So again, solidarity with the nurses in New York City also, and everybody involved in this general strike. Now, Donald Trump ranting and raving like a lunatic this morning as well, making social media posts like this: record cold wave expected to hit 40 states. Rarely seen anything like it before. Could the environmental insurrectionists please explain whatever happened to global warming? Well, you see, Donald, first off, you're just calling everybody insurrectionists these days. And you know how you want to conquer Greenland and annex it and take it over? And you know how you say, well, it's because there's a lot of melting of the ice in the North Pole area, and there's going to be lots of new shipping routes around Greenland. Do you realize that when you say that, you're recognizing the impact of global warming right there, and that impact is causing severe and catastrophic weather issues in the United States as well? Just because it is cold doesn't mean that global warming doesn't exist. But again, Donald Trump is a demented idiot, and he should be nowhere near the Oval Office. But thanks to this MAGA infrastructure of individuals who also think it's a good idea to cover up child sex trafficking rings, you have these demented individuals who are leading the United States. And by the way, Donald Trump's trip to Davos, we know how humiliating it was. But when he left and he trashed the United Kingdom. You know the uproar in the UK right now? Our UK followers know, and MeidasTouch stands in solidarity with the UK. You know, we have Meidas Canada. I was saying that we're going to do Meidas Australia next, but I think we should do Meidas UK and definitely Meidas Europe immediately as well, because Donald Trump said that our NATO allies didn't help us at all in any war. They never made any sacrifice for the United States in Afghanistan. So you know how Donald Trump calls American troops who die suckers and losers? Donald Trump called the UK soldiers, over 400 who died in Afghanistan, suckers and losers. He called the Danish troops who died in Afghanistan suckers and losers. Canadian, French, I could go on. Europe, NATO sent so many soldiers to fight alongside the United States of America on the front lines when America was the only nation to invoke Article 5. And Trump has called those troops suckers and losers, saying they weren't really on the front lines with us. They didn't help the United States. Any leader across the world who does not stand up to Donald Trump while he does that, you will lose your elections. I mean, take a look at what's going on right now in Denmark, where their right-wing party that was more sympathetic to Donald Trump at first, you know, they're now losing ground to the more liberal party there as well, or just setting aside the political conventions of liberal and conservative or whatever. You either stand up to Donald Trump right now or you kiss the gangster ring, and you will lose in your states unless your country or state wants to become a Putin bootlicker, which is what Donald Trump is. And by the way, this morning you have Steve Witkoff and you have Jared Kushner bootlicking. They're in Russia. They're meeting with Vladimir Putin, as Putin now has said that he's joining Donald Trump's Board of Peace, which is a board of authoritarians, which no member from NATO's on. No democracies are a part of it. It's like Trump, Uzbekistan, Belarus, with Lukashenko, Orban's Hungary, and Putin. But Putin's like, I will give you billions of dollars for your board, Donald, but you just need to unfreeze my funds, which are not your funds, that I just unfreeze the funds from Russia that were frozen because of the invasion of Ukraine. And then I'll give you billions of dollars to that Qatari bank account of yours, Donald. And we could all rant about how elections are fraudulent. Come on, Donald. I mean, that's what Putin's saying right now. And then Donald goes, what a great trip to Davos it was. So many things accomplished, including the framework of a deal with NATO on Greenland. Also, the Board of Peace. Wow, make America great again. There's no framework of a deal with Denmark on Greenland. The premier of Greenland, here's what he had to say. He says, no one even knows what you're talking about. You've made this up. There's no aspect of that's true. Here's what the premier of Greenland says. Let's play this clip.
First of all, nobody else than Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark have the mandate to make deals or agreements about Greenland and the Kingdom of Denmark without us. That's not going to happen. In terms of the deal there's been talking about, I don't know what's concrete in that deal.
Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I have to make a choice. I can either have a great night or a great next day. That is until I found pre-alcohol. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Every time I have pre-alcohol before drinks, I notice a difference the next day. Even after a night out, I can confidently plan on having a great next day without worrying. Ready to try it? Go to zbiotics.com/Meidas now. You'll get 15% off your first order when you use Meidas at checkout. Plus, it's backed by a 100% money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Subscriptions are also available for maximum consistency. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Meidas and use the code Meidas at checkout for 15% off.
And then more ranting and raving by Donald Trump. Here he goes. In Pennsylvania during the 2020 election, there was over 400,000 election errors alone, direct switches of votes from one candidate to another. And folks, he's reposting an account called The Skiff, some QAnon account. He's still whining about losing the 2020 election. All of these cases were litigated in court. You lost, and lots of your lawyers lost their licenses because they're making things up. And our Supreme Court, unlike the Brazilian Supreme Court, which threw their insurrectionist President Bolsonaro into prison for 20 plus years, our Supreme Court in the United States is freaking pathetic and does not represent the people, which is why there needs to be serious Supreme Court reform in our country. And they gave Trump absolute immunity. In Brazil, insurrectionist president imprisoned essentially for the rest of his adult life, 20 plus years. In the United States, absolute immunity. That's why we have a broken system that we need to rebuild. Speaking of that broken system, that fascist system right here, the Trump regime held a press conference today about kidnapping Liam Conejo Ramos, the 5-year-old who was wearing that blue teddy hat, who was kidnapped and then used as bait to lure out his father. And then both were sent to concentration camps in El Paso, Texas. Well, Greg Bovino, Donald Trump's head of the head of the Border Patrol, held a press conference today. And he said, Liam's doing great. He goes, Liam, it's like the best thing for him. He's in the least restrictive setting. I don't think it gets any better than that. That's what Trump's Nazis, SS, Border Patrol, call them with Gestapo, because in my opinion, they engage in tactics like that. Kidnapping children, in my opinion, killing people, in my opinion, supporting, aiding and abetting the killing of people. 30 people died in detention centers last year or more. 7 or 8 have already died this year. Here's what Greg Bovino says about Liam. He goes, it's doing great. Here, play this clip.
So the child is in the least restrictive setting with a family member. I don't think it gets any better than that. And as far as the care, the best care that I've seen is ICE, U.S. Border Patrol, and the way we treat those illegal aliens that come across the border.
Then you have DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin, and she said the little boy was abandoned by his own father. When we kidnapped the boy and then brought the boy to the house, the dad didn't come out and abandoned the child. So it's actually the father's fault that we kidnapped his son. Here, play this clip.
This little boy was abandoned by his own father. His own father was being approached by ICE agents when he ran and abandoned the child. Our law enforcement in these frigid temperatures stayed with the child, tried to bring him into custody with the mother, who actually would not take the child into custody, which is so sad, so horrific. Our law enforcement officers actually were taking care of the child, brought him to McDonald's.
Another ICE and Border Patrol person was holding this press conference and was asked, so does the father of Liam have a criminal record? Was there crimes that were committed here? Well, we don't know. We don't know the answer. That's what he says. Play this clip.
Does the father actually have a criminal record? And if so, what charges was he arrested on?
I will have to get back to you with any of this in-depth criminal history, but he was in the United States illegally, and I believe he'd been ordered removed.
I'm from the AP. Your press people do have my contact information.
Yep.
And what's the son's legal status in immigration history?
The family came across as a family unit illegally a few years back. I can't get the date off the top of my head.
Can you tell us anything about ICE's interactions with the mother as well as her legal status in immigration history?
We have not encountered the mother as of this time.
And then you have J.D. Vance, this evil shapeshifter who's changed his identities multiple times throughout his life, says, you know what? I got to hand it to all, he calls the people who are striking and he calls the people who are out there protesting against ICE sex traffickers, because that's what authoritarians do. You're domestic terrorists, you're sex traffickers. That's the language that's being used by this evil regime. And J.D. Vance is like, I got to hand it to them. It's very cold out there and they're committed to this bit. You got all of these sex offender criminal aliens are standing outside. You're calling the peaceful protesters in Minnesota, from Minneapolis and St. Paul and other areas, criminal alien sex offenders? The same way they call anybody who disagrees with them domestic terrorists. Here, play this clip.
It is really cold outside. And we in the Trump administrations want to deport criminal aliens who are sex offenders. It takes a certain level of commitment to sex offender criminal aliens to stand outside in negative 40-degree temperatures and attack the Vice President of the United States. But man, they are committed to the...
I want to hear from somebody who's outside right now protesting in negative 16, negative 20-degree Fahrenheit. Let's play this clip of this person saying we're stronger than them. Play this clip.
Why did you want to be out here this morning? I mean, it's negative 20. There are other days to protest. You wanted to be out here this morning. Why was that important to you?
we're stronger than them, and I think being out here on a cold morning like this really shows that. I hope they get frostbite. We are strong and we are together. You cannot divide us. We love our neighbors, we love our community, and go home.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. We appreciate you so much for watching this.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.